When people leave a Rotary Club, it's because they don't like what's going on.
On today's episode, Todd, Shepard, and Patrick Longano welcome previous Rotary International President Stephanie Urchick. Stephanie, talk to us about club culture.
Are they trying new things? They have to use that to try to figure out how to change and those changes don't have to be big. I'm not talking about blowing up a club. I'm talking about, looking at ways to bring in some small things that'll change the culture of a club. And when you're starting a new club, the good news is you got a clean slate and you can really create it from the get-go, and that's really a good thing. When people leave a Rotary Club, it's because they don't like what's going on, and that's culture. you know I came out of the world of academia, and my background was in higher ed. And when I was taking courses in organizational development, I'll never forget one of the professors who said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can have all the strategy in the world that you want, but if the culture of your organization or your group or your Rotary Club stinks, well, forget it. None of that strategy is gonna sit. So, I always say there are three ways to grow Rotary. Attract members to our clubs, start new clubs, and keep the ones we have. And then if you look at how you do all three of those things, it comes down to creating that culture, that sense of, man, I can't wait to go to this meeting. Man, I'm so glad I found this club. Man, this is exactly for me. So it's about culture.
So you've seen a lot of clubs,
Hmm.
visited a lot of clubs, I'm sure of
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And so when you say culture, uh, could you give us an example or give me an example of what that might look like? What
No,
does
and
that
I'll
mean?
tell you why. Because
Okay.
culture is individual to every Rotary Club. The culture of how Rotary happens and works in India is a lot different than the way it works in Africa, and a lot different than the way it works in North America. You know the culture of your club environment that's going to be the best. I told the story frequently last year when I was running around about my own club, when we were meeting in a place that had a door to walk into the meeting. Well, when anybody walked through the door, it didn't matter who it was, a member, a prospect, a server, a person lost in the restaurant, we would jump up and clap. Okay, that was our culture. That was our way of making people say, wow, this is really a cool group. We want to be around this bunch. That works for us. Now, will that work for other clubs? I don't know. You have to decide. You know best your own group better than anybody else. So there's not an easy answer to,
That makes sense.
what are the things that make a good culture. Your club members have to design that culture and make it work.
And make them feel welcoming. I think that was one of your quotes, right? Something about there's no better way to make a club grow than for people to feel engaged, welcome, and
Yep,
have fun, right?
absolutely, absolutely. We all have the same 24 hours, okay? And if you're asking people to give up some time to come to this group and, to engage in service, community and world service, and to pay to do it, all right, you got to make sure that people are finding the value in what their expectations were. Because people join Rotary for different reasons. Think back to Paul Harris, when he was in Chicago as a young man. He didn't know anybody. He had just taken a new job, and he didn't know a soul. So he asked three other guys. He said, "Why don't we meet every week and we'll rotate? We'll go to your office and yours, and that's how we got our name." And so for a year and a half, all they did was simply get to know one another and bring more people into that group. A year and a half later, they decided that with all that brain power and manpower and hands, they could do good things. And that's when the first Rotary project was born, and they put that toilet block in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So some people want the fellowship, like Paul Harris. Some people, hear that we are a membership organization that does service. And they say, wow, that's me. I want to roll up my sleeves. I want to do good things. I want to change the world. And, okay, come on in. This is a place for you. Some people look and say, wow, look at all those business people. I have a business. They have a business. I bet I could network. Well, of course you can. We're the original BNB. We're, always
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what we've been around. And then there's another group of people who, same thing, they look around and they say, wow, all these professionals, I'm young in my career. I think if I hung out here, I could learn about leadership, about public speaking, about project management. Well, of course you can. So our role as we're getting to know members who are coming into our clubs or as we're starting new clubs
Mhm.
is to find out what attracted people to Rotary so that we can start to work on how do we hit occasionally, we can't always hit on what they're interested in, but from time to time, you got to hit on what they value. Otherwise, they're going to say, this is a waste of my time. I don't want to be here.
Todd, I gotta tell you this. So I'll never forget. It was during football season, maybe.
You look up at me like we're at a Brady Bunch.
Yeah. Hey,
thing,
Todd, how you doing? Actually, you're down below. I was just. This is one of my
I'm
favorite
above.
of all the time. And anytime
Oops.
I get on with Steph, I learn. I try to learn on everybody, but whenever I'm talking with Stephanie, I just learn something new every single time that helps me recruiting or talking. But I'm sitting there at the house. We're watching TV. I think it was on a Sunday or I can't remember exactly, but my wife was sitting there next to me. And if you know Angie, she's usually sitting far away from me, but she was sitting next to me, and I get a text and a picture from Stephanie, and it has a picture of a good-looking group of young folks and people that are in there, and there's pizza boxes. You can tell that they're eating, and you can tell that there might be some um anyway, and
Libations. Mhm.
libations, and it says PBR. Now, me being from Florida, and I the first thing that I thought is Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's the first thing I thought about. And I'm looking over at my wife and I said, Stephanie just sent me this. She goes, well, what Rotary acronym is that? And I said, I have no idea. She goes, well, ask her. And I'm like, I am not going to ask Stephanie what this new Rotary acronym is because I don't want to embarrass myself. So she flips open her laptop that's sitting next to her and she's searching around for PBR and this and this. And I'm thinking, what is this? And I'm racking my brain and I'm going here and there. And then I finally said, I give up. I said, what's PBR? And then you can see where she's writing it. It says pizza, beer, and Rotary. And that right there, my friend, I believe Stephanie, it was before you took office. It was right
Mhm.
before you took office, maybe a
Right.
month or two. And they probably, I mean, they had you all over the place. And you took the time to meet with club members at your own club to do training and to bring these people
Yep.
along. And
Yep.
I said, I looked over at my wife and I'll never forget it. And this is the reason why she knows, how much I adore you. She's like, I said, this is why this is who we're going to have as our president next year. And because that really, it's everybody's responsibility, in my opinion, no matter if you're a brand new Rotarian or if you're incoming president of Rotary International. I think by that one moment, you showed me that it's everybody's responsibility to bring the next person along. And I just thought that that was a great thing. But that Rotary acronym really got me. That was a good one.
Well, it still goes on today. And we our meetings with the impact group are social.
Mhm.
And the whole idea is somebody, and we don't ask a lot of Rotarians to go. When we serve as mentors, only a couple go because if you have too many Rotarians, it's intimidating. So just a
Mhm.
couple of us go and we talk about something in Rotary to bring new members along so that they're not out there like floundering and drowning like what's all this stuff about. So that was our way of figuring out how to do our mentorship. So we made it social and fun and limited the number of Rotarians who go.
I,
I like
I
that.
think we need to Patrick Eakes and you and I know him well and I keep trying to get him introduced to Todd, but he always does that. Hey, R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
I honestly think anybody who's listening out there, that is fun. If you say, "Hey, listen, I want you to come to the PBR session tonight," they're gonna go, "What's a PBR session?" It's pizza, beer, and Rotary. Let's go. I mean,
Mhm.
that's fun, and people want to be part of that. And I think that that would be a fantastic way for people to engage and do those. And you said something just a little bit ago about we're the original. They absolutely were the original network and original training. And I think we forgot some point. I think some of the clubs and some of the areas out there forgot that we're probably the greatest leadership training in the world because of the people and the mentors that we have in our clubs. And I know you champion Rotary Means Business, which is a
I
great
do.
organization. So people out there, take a look at that. Take a look at avail yourself of everything that's out there because you never know when inspiration is going to strike.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Can you
Remember
tell
it.
us a little bit about what Rotary Means Business is for our
Rotary
viewers?
Means Business is one of our groups in Rotary of like-minded individuals who use Rotary as a platform to promote and support their business to other people who have businesses. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I think our biggest chapter, well, I'm not sure about this, but I know in our zone, our biggest chapter is in North Carolina. So that's what they do. They get together and they promote business. Now, think about how Rotary was originally organized. It was based on classification.
Yeah.
You had an attorney, you had a plumber, you had a whatever. Okay. So we've moved away from that. So we now have opportunities to mix and mingle with a variety of people who are in all kinds of occupations and levels. And so as Patrick said, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that that's one of the things we do best.
Really do. I mean, think about this. I was sitting there the other day going, I've got two of the most well-respected bankers in my club. Why would they not plan? Why would we not plan at least a bi-monthly? You know what I mean? Like, every other month, just, hey, we're gonna have a 1 hour classroom session, or not even call it that, but ask us anything, for our young executives and stuff like that, and whatever we can do. I think it's just another value proposition that we can go back to on there. But I got a question for Stephanie.
Okay. I
Okay.
might have an answer.
Oh, who's got it? If you could wave a magic wand, which you have, by the way, if you could wave a magic wand and you were starting from scratch, what is like one rule or one, not tradition, I don't want to say tradition, but one kind of sticking point that's still out there that probably needs to be changed or shouldn't be in
Oh,
there and it's
oh,
hindering? I know I'm asking you,
oh,
I know I'm putting you on
oh,
the
how much
spot, but
time do we have? Oh my
hey,
God.
you just tell us whatever you think. But
Okay, so
yeah,
the number one barrier that, in my opinion, that we have is the perception of Rotary for people who don't know us, from people who don't know us. If they don't know about us, have never heard about us, even if they know a little bit, they think we are rich old men eating out, Romeo. That's a
Romeo.
perception that has been there forever. And no matter how many magazine articles we have, no matter how many, public image things and social media we do, that's the perception of people. I can't tell you how many times when I bring people to a Rotary event or to a PBR or to something, they'll say, I didn't know this was what Rotary was, because they think we're rich old guys who go out and eat, or they think we're Masons, or they have some other perception. And the reason they think that is because for over 100 years, think about this, every Rotary Club in the world did the same thing. They met 4 times a month, they took attendance, they sang, they rang bells, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong
nothing
with
wrong,
that.
nothing wrong.
My club does some of that, my traditional club. Nothing
Hmm.
wrong with that. But there are people whose lifestyles are different and they want a different experience. They
Hmm.
want to get together in a pub or a grill and have something to eat and talk about and do service. One of the meetings that our Impact Club did in December, we got together in a bar and grill, and we filled 42 stockings with food and gifts for children in food insecure families. It was so much damn fun. We were laughing and carrying on, and 42 stockings. And we made life brighter for 42 children in this Western Pennsylvania area
Love it.
because their families probably couldn't give them as much as they wanted to. Now, that to me is having an impact. That to me is what makes Rotary special.
It's awesome. We got a bunch of people that are on, and Director ETN, Chris ETN was on, and we were talking about Rotary Means Business, and she dropped the web address in there. So if you're on, she put that in the things. Hi, Director ETN,
Thanks,
how are
Chris.
you?
Oh, great.
Hey,
And
hey, here's a shameless plug for Chris. Chris is leading a worldwide effort of Action Plan champions. Believe it or not, there are still clubs out there who don't know how to use the action plan. And Chris is coordinating that around the globe. She's working with every zone and getting every district and ultimately every club to understand what it is and how to use it. Thanks,
I,
Chris.
I love that. That is fantastic, and she's
That's
perfect for it.
amazing.
You should actually check out too, Todd. Todd does a lot of short videos. He's got a DIY channel. He's got the stuff that his wife makes him like sand and rebuild, and he's like, "Hey, check out! I'm on YouTube Live right now. We're building a off-grid cabin." I'm like, "Dude, where?" I'm in the woods. I'm like, "Okay, Todd." Paul Bunyan, and it's crazy. But he dropped after we were talking about the action plan, which thank you so much. You really were like the original champion on that. I mean, I think it's transforming Rotary, and Todd did next thing I know, Todd dropped this 3-minute video that he did on there, and I was like, oh, that is good. I'm not going to tell him that, but that was good. He really did a great job. But
I
yeah.
love the action plan.
Oh yeah. I mean, everything is there. It's the roadmap. People ask me, Stephanie, because I mean, put it this way, I wouldn't be anywhere where I was if it wasn't for a couple of people that just really helped. Patrick Geeks and Stephanie and Chris Jones and Brian King and the people that are out there are directors now and stuff. But we've been able to be exposed to that. But every time that we get to talk, what we're doing in membership, what other people are doing in membership, it all comes back to that action plan. I mean, you can basically figure out it's that roadmap to a successful club. So,
Okay, Todd, here's an idea. Since you have a DIY channel,
uh-oh.
why don't you do one on how to rebuild your Rotary Club and use the action plan
Okay,
as the
Nice.
I'll
template?
do it.
Huh?
I'll do it on one of my YouTube channels, maybe
Love
the
it.
Club
Love
Creation
it.
Team channel. So
Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually a really, really good one. But hey,
that's a good idea.
if you you know me, I will kind of go right up to the line. And I push the boundaries just a little bit, much to the chagrin of a lot of people. But if there was one thing that you've been all over the world, so we don't have that kind of perspective that you have, where you were going into these areas that ours is different than India and all these different places. What is the one common denominator that you see worldwide that you think maybe we should all lean into a little bit more?
Being proud to be a Rotarian.
Yes. What a great one. Oh my goodness, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Honest to
Yeah.
goodness, that's what it is.
That's what it is because, in my travels and, other countries and continents, there's a
Mhm.
pride. There's a pride about being a part of the family of Rotary.
Yeah.
And this country, not so much. Yes, there's a lot of us, like us on this call, of course, but I think some people have lost that. So we've got to work on helping people find that pride again.
I think that's a great point. You also brought up something at the beginning there. People think it's a Romeo. If you actually go on Google and you put in there, do you have to be, or where the drop downs will hit? I've seen, is Rotary a cult? Do you
Yeah.
have to be old to be in Rotary? And
Uh-huh.
here's another one. Do you have to be rich to be in Rotary?
Yeah.
So I think it absolutely, this goes right along with what you're saying about being proud. We have to be proud enough to tell people that what Rotary's about, even if we're not trying to recruit them. hey, listen, you might have, this is what we do in our community. This is what we do in the world. And unless we're able to be vocal about it, I don't think that we'll be able to overcome that. But it starts locally with overcoming those preconceived notions, like, those type of things. And I think that I love that you said that, because I think that if anybody's listening on here, even if it's not for recruiting purposes, just talk great about Rotary. Be proud that you're
Mhm.
Rotary. That's great.
Now, your comment reminds me of a complaint I hear frequently from districts. We don't have anybody stepping up who wants to be district governor. Well, why do you think that is? It's because the people who have been in the position, and this is a generalization, this
Yeah,
isn't true everywhere, but it's a generalization. They talk and they complain about, oh, I never had any time. I got too much mail. My inbox was this. I never got to. Well, no wonder nobody wants to do the job. Yet we need to be talking about how it's the most fabulous opportunity to meet every Rotarian in your district and
yeah.
the things that you get to do. That's what we need to do. And the same thing for club presidents. We need to change the verbiage. We need to change how we talk about these opportunities. And then we won't have, no applicants, one applicant. That's, we should have people lined up, ready to serve.
You said
It's a
something up
wonderful
at Pets.
position to be club president. It's
What's
That's
that?
exactly right. But Stephanie said up at Pets Alliance, she came out to speak to everybody that was up there and sat on the edge of the stage and had a conversation. I'll never forget it. She had a pad in her hand. It was the greatest thing in the world. As district governors, you guys are, as presidents elect, you're asked to do this, and she slow walked it. Boom. And then it started getting bigger. And then she flipped the page. And this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then she flipped the page again. It was she didn't even have to say it at the end. We're asked to do a ton of things, and then we flippantly say, a lot of time, again, a generalization, oh, the best day of my life was I'm now immediate past
Yeah,
president.
yeah.
It was an honor to do it. Was it tough? Was it challenging? I'm sure it is. But I don't think you get anything in life that's not challenging that you don't feel good about. So, if we can stop doing that ourselves and speaking that out into the universe,
Mhm.
I think a lot more people will come along. We just need Todd to go ahead and get into G line, right, Todd?
Yeah, come
There
on,
you
Todd.
go.
Come
That's
on, buddy. We're trying to get you in there, man.
it'll happen. I,
Mhm.
I want to circle back to Romeo because I love that acronym there, rich old men eating out. And and Patrick, you brought up about going on Google and searching, hey, what is it like to be Rotarian or what have you. And I really enjoy working with AI and I dabble with a lot
Yeah.
of that. And you can go online and you can ask AI to create a picture for you of pretty much anything
Mhm.
whether it's real or not. And what I found on multiple attempts, if I put in there, what does a Rotary president look like, or what does a Rotary member look like, and
Oh
the
no.
pictures are consistently, a picture of
Yep.
of the guys that we always have seen. Maybe they're wearing a vest with Rotary emblem, and they've got a suit and a tie and gray hair, and they're standing there in a pose. And in fact, I sent a picture to Patrick like that recently, and I sent him a picture of way back when Paul Harris and them, and that's kind of how they took pictures back then. But it seems for the last 120 years, we're still taking these pictures where we're posing. Let's get a picture where all stand together in our suits and ties and we'll pose. And this is what AI sees. This is the information that we're feeding it across the board. Every time we post a photograph of people posing
Big check.
staunchly with a big check or anything, and there's nothing wrong with those type
Nothing
of
wrong. Yeah.
things. In order to change that view that AI has of Rotary so it can share something different, we need to change the input. We need to be sending more pictures of people high-fiving and having fun. And like
Mhm.
you said, Stephanie, going into a meeting and the culture of we're having a good time. And uh,
PBR.
and and it reminds me of the first time I ever went to a Rotary meeting. I was invited and I asked my wife if she knew anything about Rotary, and she says, "Yeah, I think my dad was in Rotary. It's a bunch of guys wear shirts and ties and suits and playing cards and drinking." And I thought, okay, that's what she thought. And, it was a breakfast club. So, the day drinking, I guess. And so I went to the meeting and I showed up and I walked in and I was the best dressed guy in the room. I looked around and I actually knew a lot of the people. I didn't know I would. And they were wearing shorts and Hawaiian shirts and jeans and working wear and some professionals dress, going to work and such. It was a game changer for me. I looked around the room and I thought, you know what? I think this is for me. Because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to wear a suit and tie and everything. That's not really the club I wanted to belong to.
Yeah.
And I found that it was not that we can't look nice. It's just that I found that it wasn't this stuffy Romeo, because that was the only
Yeah.
impression she
Yeah.
had. She shared it with me. I had no idea what to
Yeah.
expect. But, whoa, what a hoot.
You're onto something, Todd. We all walk into rooms and we take a look around and we look to see if there are people who look like us, who act like us, and we make a decision. Is this a group of people that I want to belong to or be with? So I think you're absolutely right. That's part of the culture. That's part of the culture. There are clubs that still do the suit and tie thing.
Mhm.
I was at believe it or not, an all Indian club here in the States,
Hmm.
and they all dress in suits and ties, and they all bring their spouse to every meeting. But it's their culture, and it's the way that they want to experience Rotary. That sure as heck wouldn't work here in Western Pennsylvania.
No, hey, and I'll tell you, I had a Todd. I'm glad you brought that up too, because one of the things that we have to do, and it'll put us down on the everyday Rotarian. I think that it's been very difficult for Rotary now to get to the member level. You know what I mean? It's really started to change over the past couple of years with like leadership with you guys, like Stephanie and our directors that are really digging in it now. But we have to harness what our Rotarians are already doing. We talk about this all the time in the club creation team. It's that these people that we're recruiting, they're the ones that are out there doing the work already. If they're Rotarians, they're volunteering. And instead of doing these same four things that we do every year, the bike race and then of this and then of that and then of that, how about if somebody asked me, Patrick, what changed for you? How did when did you know you were pretty good at recruiting on this deal? I said the second I said to somebody that I was talking with, I asked them what they did for service, what they did, because I already naturally knew that they did something. And when they told me, I said, well, and what day they did it and stuff like this, I said, if we brought two or three people, could we come do service with you next Tuesday? And he went, and that's it. Because then all of a sudden it wasn't, oh, they're trying to recruit me to do all this work. They were generally interested in what we were doing. So, and that puts you on that same level with everybody. We're all Rotarians. And
And
I think the
yeah.
one thing that's great about it is we all pay the same dues.
Right,
No
right.
matter
And
what.
that's such a cool way to get to know who your members are and what's important to them and what value they look for. So that's a great comment.
Yep.
That
We had
engagement of doing a project. I was wondering, Stephanie, I love your story about the magic of Rotary,
Hmm.
which you coined. Would you mind telling us how you came about that, man? Where the magic that you first discovered?
Sure. There's probably nobody on this call that hasn't heard it already or read it, but I will tell you, years ago, I was still a new Rotarian, and I found myself in the Dominican Republic. My district had partnered with another district in Michigan, and we had gone down to buy and install biowater sand filters. So my job was to go with yeah, another person. We would go into homes and we'd put the filter together and show the family how to use it and then test it. So I was in a home. It was a Haitian family living in the Dominican Republic. So there were five people in the family, a grandmother, a mother, and three boys.
mm,
So I did put the filter together, and then I showed them, how to clean it and, how to operate it. And then the last thing I would do is put dirty water in and it would come out clean. And then I put it in again, dirty water, and it would come out clean. And one of those boys came up and he tugged on my shirt and he said, "Hey, lady, show me that magic again." And so it dawned on me that the magic was not the water filter. The magic was what would happen to that family now that they had access to clean water. Those
Mm.
little boys were kind of spotty in their school attendance because they had to walk. Now they could go to school 5 days a week. The mother in the family had been hesitant to go out and look for a job because she had to walk for work. Now she could go and find some employment. That's the magic that was going to happen to that family. It wasn't the water filter, it was what that water filter meant. And so that stuck with me. And, I realize that every time a Rotarian engages in service, doesn't matter what we're doing, we're creating magic for somebody. And that's where the magic of Rotary came from.
I love it. And I visit different clubs, and that's one of the more common comments I hear, that motto, the magic of Rotary. People use that in taglines and everything. That's
Mhm.
really taken, and I think it's a real special thing.
Well, we'll have messages, from here on out. There'll always be messages that are important, but there's something about that particular set of words. The magic is not going to go away because we continue to do those things that create magic for people. So I'm with you, Todd. I think that'll just be a phrase that sticks around for a long time.
I hope so. So you've also brought up a little bit about over time about attracting more women into Rotary. Have any suggestions that we can do that? It's wonderful to
Well,
bring that more women into
not
Rotary.
not just women. We need to look at all underrepresented groups. We need to look at race. We need to look at ethnicity. We need to look at, everything, anybody that's underrepresented. And the best way for a club to determine if it is on par or on track for the future is to look at the community. And if your Rotary Club mirrors the community, then you're good. And if it doesn't, you have a great opportunity. The best way to bring any underrepresented individuals into Rotary service is to recruit 2 or 3 at a time. Don't go after one. I mean, I went to a club somewhere, I can't remember, it was in this country. There were 60 men. And they said, "Oh, we brought the woman banker. She came to town and we said, you need to be in Rotary." And she came to 2 meetings and then left. Well, no wonder.
Here's your
I
sign.
mentioned, yeah, I mentioned earlier, you look around the room and she couldn't see anybody that looked like her.
It's crazy.
So if we bring in underrepresented groups like that, like 2 or 3 at a time, then we have a better chance, if possible, if possible.
That's a
It's
great
there though,
idea.
because one of the things that somebody had called me, and I remember this early on, and they're like, "Can you take a look at our club and tell us where might be able to, increase our thing?" And I said, "I don't even need to. I here, you're at 19% female participation. How about you start there?"
Hmm.
That is where, you can really take a look at your demographics and know exactly where it is. But one of the things that we do when we focus on the service aspect of it is that's what unites all of us. We all want to do service to our community, to Rotary, to ourselves, and and everybody believes in service. Well, we like to think that.
Yeah.
And that spans all races and all genders, and so I
Well,
think
and Todd mentioned it earlier. We can't neglect young people. I mean,
yes,
if you take a look at the history of my social media posts, you will see that there are young people in the photos that I put up because I want the world to see this is not an old person's organization. It's an everybody organization. So yeah, I have pictures of, other folks, but I put pictures of young people. I do it.
Todd, Stephanie just told on herself. That's the reason why I'm not on your post. I'm
That's
just
why you're not on the
saying.
post.
You just, Todd, you got no chance because me and you are about the same age. So we're just no.
Hey, I'll tell you though, young people. I'm a past Rotaract chair of our
Yay,
district
good
too,
for you.
and I love working with Rotaract with young
Mhm.
professionals, and I like the idea that you spoke about earlier about developing leaders.
Mhm.
And I think that that's one of the best things that we can do to help attract members is to let young professionals know that we have the leadership tools, the learning center, the mentorship from our members, the older people like Patrick that are in these clubs that can
Oh my
mentor
God.
young people,
Well,
and the networking. I mean, by golly,
yeah.
if you think if you're in your 30s and 40s, how valuable is that to have training and mentorship and networking? That's everything you need to succeed.
But Todd, we have to retrain our existing members because too often when I speak to Rotaractors and Rotarians, this is what I hear. The Rotarians say, uh, we don't want to work with those young people. They're kind of wet behind the ears. Let them pay their dues and get used to what we do. We don't have time for them. And the Rotaractors say, we don't want to work with those Rotarians. They're kind of old and stodgy and, old fogies, and all they want us to do is park the cars and sell the tickets. They don't let us do anything.
And work on the internet.
Yeah, we've got to get closer
Work on the
together.
internet.
We have to talk to people about cross mentoring, reverse
Yeah.
mentoring. Young people know things that we don't, and we know things that they don't. And the beauty is when that pollination happens. But in some clubs, we're just not letting it happen because of the mentality. One of the biggest drawbacks, I wanted to say this earlier, maybe that's a barrier. Barrier is a better word. One of the biggest barriers that we have is figuring out how to blend tradition with innovation.
Mm.
That's where we are in Rotary. Okay. Now we have started down that path.
Yeah.
We brought in women, we've created new meeting models. So we definitely have started down that path. But we're an organization built on tradition. Yet here we are saying we need to priority number 4, we need to innovate. We need to try new things. We need to get invested in AI. We need to do all these things. That's one of our barriers, figuring out how to do that in a constructive way.
Stephanie, real quick, in your travels in North America, or concentrating right now, in your travels in North America, do you see a big? I I'll tell you. Let me ask you it this way: I feel something different this year. I feel like that there was an aha moment, that all
Thank
the
you.
stuff that you were
Thank you.
pushing, yeah,
Thank
and all
you.
the stuff that you were pushing, and all of the stuff that Patrick Eakes and what you guys did with the innovative club models and Chris Jones and stuff like that. I feel honestly that we're almost to this tipping point, that we're we're almost there. And do you feel that same thing?
I do. I do. In fact, I wrote a message to all of the governors from 24, 25 around the world and said exactly that. I said, you embraced the magic of Rotary and you made things happen. Brian King, our director of membership, has quoted how many new clubs were created. There's a guy in Morocco, a district governor in Morocco. Oh my God, he started over 100 new clubs if you
Wow.
count regular clubs, impact clubs, Rotaract clubs, and Interact clubs. Over 100. Oh
That's
my God,
incredible.
just incredible. So yes, people listen to that magic or to that excitement that was out there and they did something with it. And the good news is they're continuing to share the magic. That's what unites us for good. They share the magic, it unites us for good, and it will propel us. It will keep us moving forward. So yes, yes, I do feel it too, Patrick.
Good, good, good. 'Cause I've just kept, my wife is like, why are you so? I said, you can feel that momentum that will bring up terms like companion club or this or that or alternative style clubs or anything like that. And before, we used to get hammered. I called Stephanie one time and go, should I keep going? Because just we were getting hammered all the time. And now, I mean, in large part to you, you went all over the world and just kept banging that drum. And so as we pick up this momentum, we really do owe you a really huge thank you to taking a chance on Rotary, taking a chance on you opened yourself up to traditionalists and that sort of thing. And you said, this is the right way to go, and we need to do this. It's going to bring more people in. We're going to be more diverse. We're going to do these type of things.
Well,
so, thank you.
I had 1.2 million people who believed in the message and took it to heart and acted on it. We're people of action. I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a cheerleader for Rotary and always will be, but 1.2 million people are out there making the world a different place.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this because you've just been real important to me, but you're going to go down as one of the most consequential leaders in Rotary history because of the fact that I'm just telling you, I have never seen anybody who understands the Rotarian. That's you know what I mean? You understand the Rotarian. They every day go to lunch meetings.
Because I am one.
Yes, you are. And you crank it out. And I can't thank you enough for the leader that you've been.
Well, that's high praise. I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know if it's deserved, but thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Todd, you got any final questions there, big guy?
Well, I just want to agree with that, and I want to say that it's a fact that Stephanie is indeed a rock star, and I can back it up because a little reading I found that you actually were a singer in a band. In your college days. Patrick, are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Long time ago. Yep. One of my
Patrick, if you can tell me the name of the band, Patrick, you won't have to drink.
I'll drink anyway.
You have to take a drink.
But ask Stephanie if she ever wore a sash for like some kind of like pageant or something.
Stop it.
I think you're talking to Miss
You're talking to the former Pierogi Princess.
Pierogi Princess is the greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
Stephanie, we need to do something like that for a foundation thing. We need to get some kind of sash or something that says Pierogi Princess signed by you, and we can auction it off for a foundation.
I like that. Will there be a farewell tour of the Harmoniers anytime in the future?
No, because unfortunately the leader of that band was my father and he passed away. And when that happened, that's when I stopped singing. So the only singing I do now is in the church choir and the shower. That's it.
And we can catch her in the church choir at any time.
Yeah.
Any Sunday, let's go. That's incredible.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure meeting you and listening to your thoughts on membership and Rotary and be inspired by you as the not past president, but the previous president, and rock star that you are.
Thank you, Todd.
A little pitch here. Next week, we will be coming to you live from International Assembly. Patrick will be on there live, man on the street, trying to catch up with whomever we can, district governors and such. And we're going to try to broadcast this live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, right here on our Facebook page at Membership Unplugged. Stephanie Urchick, thank you again. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And
thanks,
we're out of here.
I'll see you next week. Safe travels.
All right, same to you. Bye.